Hello, in an earlier video I shared how to do an informal play assessment with your child or a child that you're working with. That's very important to find out what a child's play level is. And that's basically, since we can't give a small child or somebody who's functioning at the level of a small child like a pen and paper SAT kind of a test to figure out what level they're functioning at, and often they can't tell us, which is one of the reasons that we have these concerns and we're doing this extra work with them. They can show us how their mind is working through the way that they play and they interact with the environment. So I could link that video at the end of this or in the description box down below. So in that video series I talked about how to set up that play assessment, and I talked about, and I mentioned that there were several items that I deliberately did not include in that assessment process, and those were a screen, anything with a screen like this, what you're watching me on, a ball, a car, or bubbles. And the reason for that is that a lot of times the person that we're trying to get their play level, the child or person who's functioning at the level of a small child, can get fixated on those items, and then they won't interact with any of the other items, and we won't be able to see what level we're really meeting them at when we're trying to help boost their cognition and get them towards more meaningful communication and hopefully even verbal communication with words. So I did say at that point that, however, there are still many things that we can do with these items, particularly in those cases that we are finding that this is a person that doesn't like to interact with toys, doesn't really play with toys. That's something that I hear a lot. Or a child who won't stay engaged with another person, and therefore we feel like we can't play with them, or we don't, or that they won't play with us, really. So there are ways to use these items, and I am now going to do a series of videos, quick tips on how we can use these items for engaging the child and laying the foundation for developing play and meaningful communication. The next item I'm going to share in working with children to increase their joint attention is a car. So a lot of children who don't like to, or it's hard for them to engage with other people for extended periods of time, especially little boys a lot of times, but not only, there are definitely girls who are into this too, can spend a lot of time playing with their cars. So a lot of times that time is spent playing on their own with their cars, which can be a challenge, but like a lot of things here, the problem could also be our solution. We know that they like cars, and we can use that to connect with them. So if they'll let us take the car away from them, if they won't, don't, because we don't want to make a fight, but if they will let us sort of gently pull the car away from them and then push it towards them with a big excited face, and allow us to engage with them in a back and forth, that's a way that we could get that back and forth going. Now sometimes that's hard for kids. It's hard for them to lose their car. So what you can do is, together with another adult, you could have the child sit on the other adult's lap, and you can be across from them, possibly at a short distance if that's needed to keep the attention. A longer distance, you can make the distance longer and longer as their attention and their ability to sustain this kind of interaction increases. You could have another car, and while the other adult with the child has their car on one side and you have your car on the other side, you can go 1, 2, 3, switch, and that way they're still getting a car and you get a car back. And you go 1, 2, 3, switch. And have fun with it, and allow them to have fun with it. Now for some kids, they might only be able to do that once or twice, or that might be hard. If they're not able to let go of the car at all, and sometimes that happens, you can still enjoy the car with them by using a little declarative language, and I could link that video in the comment section down below about what that means and how to use that. But it's basically, instead of like giving demands or asking questions to get a specific response, it's just making comments and being with the child, letting them feel your presence and let them know that you're interested in what they're interested in. Because honestly, as adults, that's who we like to spend time with, people who share interests with us, and can be respectful and appreciative of what is important to us. So even children, that starts very young, that we're like that, our whole lives. So just like the Screens video or the other video series on sharing a book, you can just, if they're not ready to give up the car, if they're not ready to share it yet, you could just sit with them and observe and make comments on what they're doing, just to be with them in the moment if they're not ready for the back and forth yet. So you could say, oh, what a big fire truck, or that one's green. Oh no, they crashed. Uh-oh. Oh, he's going so fast. And make sure to pause in between each comment and just look for his reaction, to give him a chance to interact with you around one of his or her favorite interests. So I just want to take a moment to explain really the underpinnings, the foundation of what we're talking about here in this series of videos about the screens, the car, the ball, and the bubbles. So what we're really trying to establish, and what's missing a lot of times when a kid won't play with another child or with an adult, or when I hear from parents, well, my child doesn't play with toys, is something called joint attention. And that is what that means. It's something that speech therapists and developmental therapists and psychologists use a lot, but I don't know how exposed people are to this concept generally, so I want to take this moment to share it and help you understand it, because it's an important thing to be the master of in your interactions with your child, to know this and know what it means and know why it's important in our interactions. It's really one of the most basic things in any interaction. So joint attention, joint means together and attention is paying attention to something, is paying attention to anything together with another person. So when a child starts saying look and points and like looks to the other person, or even if they're not saying look yet, just pointing to something and looking at the other person to see if they're paying attention to that, that's the nice beginning of joint attention. Now, being able to have that in a moment is a really important milestone, and being able to encourage that will lead us to something even better, which is extended joint attention. Now, if a child could stay engaged with another person in a back and forth of some kind, whether it's a conversation verbally like we have with our friends and other adults and even children in our lives, or even if it's just a back and forth playing like we're talking about in these videos, that is the beginning of being able to learn from another person and being able to connect emotionally with another person. So that's why we're doing this series of videos, to start to establish and extend that joint attention, which is going to be the foundation of everything else you do in growing your child's cognition and working towards meaningful language. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please click like and share with anybody you think can benefit from it. For more videos like this, please subscribe. To request a video on a topic that we haven't covered yet, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll see that, and if I get enough interest, I'll make a new video. Also, you don't have to do this alone. You could join the discussion in our private Facebook group, and the link is in the comment box down below. Or if you're interested in working with me personally, send me a PM on Facebook and we'll make a time to talk. In the meantime, use your powers and take care.